Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit the 1981 cult classic, Mommie Dearest. So, get us the axe and have a seat.
Hey everyone, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And happy Mother's Day out there.
It
is our special
Day.
Warm and fuzzy Mother's Day episode where we revisit the heartwarming classic, Mommie Dearest.
The mother of them all, as the movie poster promised.
Oh, the mother, is that what it says?
Well, because so really quick, we'll start with then, as we always do.
Yes.
1981, or the first time we saw the movie. So, a tiny bit of history, because this movie is notorious. So, the movie was released, obviously it's based on a best-selling book by Christina Crawford, the daughter of Joan Crawford. The movie came out, Christina Crawford did not write the screenplay of the movie, that should be said. 4 different people are credited with writing this movie.
Wow.
Which is always a problem.
Yeah, I can
always
see that.
a problem. However, Christina Crawford's husband is credited as one of the producers, along with Faye Dunaway, the star of the movie. Her fiance and soon-to-be husband was another one of the producers, and they were sort of there to make sure everyone was treated right, respectfully, to the source material, blah, 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 and thus we get Mommie Dearest. When it premiered, it was not met with a lot of love, and in fact, people were laughing out loud at this movie and its high drama. So much so that when this got around that people were laughing out loud, the leaders that be of the movie studio was like, listen, people are laughing at this. We have to pretend like we're in on the joke. They remarket this movie. The movie has already been out for weeks. They remarket it, and they incorporate a coat hanger into the poster. And a big splash of copy across the poster says, "No more wire hangers, ever." Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom it says, "Meet the mother of them all." And they begin to market it like it's a cult comedy classic. And that it's high drama, ridiculous, campy. It's campy fun. Mm-hmm. Go see it. And it worked to a degree. This movie only cost about $5 million to make. It ended up making about $40 million.
Wow.
It went on to win a number of Razzie Awards, which is given to the worst movies
like
of the
for
year.
every actor, the
That's
best
right.
actor, best actor, best supporting actress, best supporting actor, best actress, director, writing, screenplay, like every major award they won.
For the worst.
For the Razzie. And they had, the Razzies had over the past 10 years.
Yes. Oh, so you know this.
And
they
won for worst
movie of the worst movie of the last 10 years.
Over the last 10 years.
Crazy. But I will also say that Faye Dunaway did she win or was nominated? She won Best Actress by the New York Film Society of Critics. So let's talk about then. Yeah. The first time I saw this movie, because it was so notorious, it was on VHS. I am certain I rented this when I was staying at my dad's on a weekend. He didn't care what I watched, and holy God, this movie was so scary, so terrifying, so brutal. I really hated it. I really hated this movie when I was younger. And later on, in my early 30s, I was living in New York, and this bar called Urge, where I'm sure we brought you. On the monitors, they always show music videos. And at one point, and so this is probably the early 2000s, someone edited a music video of the most violent scenes of Mommie Dearest and did a supercut and did it to the song Mamma Mia by ABBA. So it was like, here I go again. And it was like, my. And every time I did that, it was showing her, Christina, getting slapped in the face when she was a grown-up. Uh-huh. It is hyper-violent. But here's the thing. Everyone sitting around the bar was laughing their asses off. And I'm like, and I wasn't. And I'm like,
because you remember
movie,
it as being what it was supposed to be originally.
That's right. You're exactly right. And because it was like, this is violent. And it's a kid. It's a little girl.
Yeah.
And so I hated this movie. How about you?
So,
like back then.
Yes. Yeah. Back then, I saw it in the movies.
How?
It was
you did?
PG.
This is R.
Nope.
What?
Mommie Dearest was rated PG.
Okay, keep talking. I'm going to
look it up.
I guess I am challenging, but I don't mean to challenge you.
No, it's okay. So, it was rated PG. I went to the movies. I saw it in the movies with, I think, my sister. And I went mostly because of it being, Christina, of course. Mm-hmm. It wasn't very often.
Christina Darling.
Christina Darling, yes. And I remember it being terrifying also.
It is PG. That blows my mind. She says, "Don't fuck with me, fellas. This isn't my first rodeo."
I know.
That's the F
So
word.
I think in this day and age, I think it would be PG-13. I don't think it would be R.
No, I guess not. No.
I think it would be PG-13. Back then, they didn't have PG-13 ratings.
I didn't, Christina. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, it was PG. Because I remember, I'm like, this is PG.
Jesus.
And I'm like, wow, okay. Because I wasn't sure if I should have it on when Emily's in the house. And I'm like, well, it's PG. I didn't have it on when she was in the house because I knew the subject matter. She saw a little bit of it, but not much. But yeah, so I saw it in the movies. And I remember watching it and being terrified. Like, it was scary.
So 81, really quick, you are, so this is 40, right?
So I was probably...
No, 30, sorry. No, it is 40 years ago.
40, so I was like 12 years old.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I remember it being like terrifying. Like, you would never see that.
It was
in a movie.
Spastic.
Yeah.
It is spastic. The violence is spastic, and it's gratuitous. The scenes of abuse are long, and I remember them. I remember them so vividly. Like, and even rewatching it, I'm like, oh god, oh fuck, this is the scene. Like, you just know.
You do. You get a pit in your stomach, and you're like,
god.
Jesus Christ, no, oh my god, please, And yes, it was very, very scary, and yes, it also. I never watched it since.
Yeah.
I never watched it since because it was very scary.
Yeah.
I will, however, tell you, I have this friend, Rich, who's actually, Richard Castle, he's a musician. Uh-huh. He's a brilliant pianist. He actually writes musicals out in California. He's wonderful. And we were good friends in high school, and we used to have just this running gag where he'd be like, Christina, get me the axe! Like, it was just always hilarious. However, yes, it was a terrifying, scary movie. So, you just didn't know what was going to happen next. And this was the type of thing that, it's a child.
It's a little girl. Oh, my God.
It's a little girl.
I was so scared, watching this as a kid. And just being like, oh, my God, she's just a friggin' monster.
Yes.
And what is so weird then, and I don't even know how I processed it because now I watched this yesterday, and I was really like, I don't know how my little brain even processed the abuse and the non Christina scenes, because it's really about Faye, Joan Crawford.
Yes.
And so it's like, I don't even know what my brain was even thinking watching when she's in meetings and she's acting on a set. It's like, what was this movie trying to say or do?
We can absolutely talk about them now.
Let's jump into.
But I will say, back then, when the child was not on screen, I remember being completely bored. Like, I didn't even comprehend her at all. There was no sympathy towards the mother at all. I didn't care what else was going on. I didn't care about what she did. I knew she was an actress.
Yeah.
I knew that much, but...
the average kid, we wouldn't have known who Joan Crawford was at that point.
For some reason, I did. I think probably because of the movie.
The book or whatever.
But I certainly didn't watch any of her movies or anything like that. But I just remember, all this... even when she gets older, after she leaves, the school...
Yeah.
The rest of it was just, so boring to me. because I just felt like she was old enough that she wasn't going to get hurt anymore. So anyway, but that was the then.
Yeah.
And I also watched it yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we watched it at the same time, but not together. So what was your first impressions when you were watching it now?
So I actually went in, this is part of the reason it's like, wait, you guys hated this movie and you're rewatching it? But this is part of the experiment, right? It's all part of the thing.
Yeah.
I was honestly in a good mood when I put it on. I was like, this time around, I want to see if I can identify, like, the camp factor and see what everyone else saw, like, and still sees. Because this is, like, a camp... I mean, when this movie is shown in certain theaters across the country, like, it's a big to-do, and people line up, it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show, someone said, when they show this movie. Like, people bring cleanser, and they throw it at the screen, and, like, disgusting. So, my first thing was, like, I want to look for, like, the cracks in Joan Crawford. Like, I want to see, like, how come she's so comfortable beating her child?
Were you able to figure out any of her problems? It was so hard to analyze this woman.
But then it becomes, does that make it okay? I mean, like, because, so she is, an aging actress. Her movies are not making as much money as they used to. However, she lives in a gorgeous, gigantic house with 2 spiraling staircases that, of course, lead to the center.
A mansion.
Gigantic closet of clothes and shoes, and she's a movie star. I mean, she has a team of people that write her her autographed pictures for her, because she's still a beloved Hollywood star.
Yeah, she was right up there with, like, Betty Davis and Greta Garbo.
Yeah. So the first little hint of the cracks in Joan Crawford is when she's told that the maid is done cleaning the house. And it's weird because you see that Joan Crawford's on the floor scrubbing the floors. But then she has, like, a maid and, like, a housekeeper person that are...
Yes.
Yeah. Carol Ann and then Helga.
Yes.
Helga's helping. She says, I'm done. Joan Crawford walks into the living room, and she runs her finger all over everything. And you're just waiting.
You know something's happening. You know she's going to find something.
And she certainly does, because she moves the plant, and it turns out that Helga didn't clean around the plant. And she has a little moment, but she says, and God bless the script, because there are some amazing lines. I have it written down. I know what you're going to say. Helga, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the dirt. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. That is chilling.
That is chilling. And I don't know what was happening with the music. You could tell something was happening.
Christina, look at my like second or third line. The music.
The music is somber. Okay.
I just found the music, like, I wish the music matched the scenes more.
I do have that as a note further in.
Okay.
Where
the music bothered me throughout.
Further in, I felt the music was strange. It was a strange accompaniment.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it. There were scenes where I think the music would have helped in the suspense, and it was completely silent, completely void of any music at all. And I thought it was very interesting how, I don't know who made those decisions, but I don't think they were very good decisions.
It is so bizarre because so much of the music, it often sounds like a mystery noir. Everything's very it's very moody.
It's very like old Hollywood.
Yeah, but it clashes, like, even the carousel. There's the scene shortly after what we're talking about. There's like the birthday party, and they're on the carousel. Even the carousel music is like borderline demonic. It's like, I'm like, what is going to happen right now? Like,
I will say, I think that you were saying that one of the first moments that you feel her cracking. I feel like the very first scene you see her, you can see there's something going on.
Oh, with the scrubbing of her arms.
The complete, she wakes up and she has this complete crazy routine. of washing and washing and washing her arms, scrubbing.
Boiling hot water.
Boiling hot water, and then ice on the face, and then scrubbing.
Like witch hazel in the ice, and yeah.
And I will say it was fascinating. I was fascinated by this whole like routine, but that gives you a clue right there that the OCD part of her anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So
one thing about that, and because it ties into something I have down here, like you do feel that she's as hard on herself as she's with everyone else in her life.
Oh, 100%.
And I certainly wouldn't have registered that as a kid, but I do think the movie does a good job, like of she, she's hard on everyone, but she's really hard on herself too. And like I wrote, like cleaning the floor, the running up the hill, and so I watch things with the closed caption on.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And when she's running up the hill towards it, do you know what she's saying?
No.
She's like mumbling something, right?
Yes.
She's saying, "I will survive. I will survive."
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it's
that's right.
Really...
Because I was trying to figure out what she was saying at the very, very end. I'm like, ooh. I caught like the last one. I'm like, oh, I think she's saying, "I will survive."
Yeah, she's saying, "I will survive. I will survive. I will survive." And because then Carol Ann says, "I hope audiences know how hard you work for them." And she says, "I hope Mr. Mayor does." Or something like that.
Yeah.
So she is a business woman. She knows her fans love her, and therefore she has to keep making movies, but she knows she can only keep making movies if she makes Mr. Mayor happy. And you feel that pressure on her.
Definitely. She is, and I think that, that comes out in a lot of ways, especially with Christina. She sees Christina as sort of a reflection of herself. And, God, we'll get into the relationship with her and Christina in a bit, but there's pretty inconsistent, but a lot of different layers to that relationship. But it's very clear when they have that bathroom scene, and she's like, "Do you think this is clean?" And she's like screaming at her, and Christina's like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "How can you think this is clean?" And so it's like she has like these high expectations of herself, and it's like in her brain, and she just doesn't get how people can't be like
her. Why don't people see what I see?
Why don't you see that this place is a mess?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God.
Oh, it's so upsetting.
It's so upsetting.
So I really struggled. I still struggled. I really was not laughing at the child abuse scenes the way some people do. I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. And I really like a lot of campy shit. I don't understand it. The haircut scene legitimately gave me heart palpitations.
That is the worst scene in the whole movie. Worse than the wire hanger.
Unrelenting. And it brought me back to me being a kid watching it for the first time. My heart was pounding. The scene is set up where it's a little unclear if Christina is truly making fun of her mother or truly just impersonating her mother. She doesn't know. She doesn't know anything else.
She's playing pretend.
And she's pretending to be her mother. But Joan Crawford sees this as an insult, that she's mocking her. But remember, too, right before that scene, she got some very good news.
And that's what's so confusing about this.
There's a lot of confusing shit about this movie. Yeah. So she gets the news that her boyfriend has pulled some strings and got her a reading or whatever for this movie. She's all excited, and she's like, "Where's Christina?"
She's elated
because she wants her kids to love her as much as her fans do. And isn't this so great? So she runs upstairs and she sees Christina sitting in her bed, in Joan Crawford's bedroom, and talking to the mirror. And she's impersonating her mom.
Getting chills just thinking about it.
Oh my God. And the music, there's no music, I believe, to your point,
I don't think there was music.
And she walks up, and Christina has some makeup on, she has some jewelry on, right? And earrings on. And she has a hair clip, and she has stuff in her hair to flatten her hair down. And to make it look more like her mom's. And Joan Crawford appears, and she
slowly appears. You can see her in the mirror in the background, slowly appearing. It was like a horror movie.
It is shot like a horror movie. It is shot like a horror movie, that scene. And she is trying to brush her hair very aggressively. And I'm sorry, I'm assuming this girl has to be wearing a wig. And it still looks like it hurts.
Oh my God, she's brushing it and brushing it and brushing it.
That
and
actress,
she had product in the hair.
Yes.
That made it flat.
Because she said, I have stuff in there, and then she grabs.
And you see her ripping the hair out of her head. And you see the bald spots on the poor little kid's head. I'm like, oh my God. And if that wasn't enough, go on.
She opens the drawer and takes out a pair of scissors and cuts her hair. And she's like, Mommy, no. She was saying, Mommy, no, like a million times.
And she's bawling her eyes out.
And then Joan Crawford is crying, saying, like, look what you're making me do, essentially. Like, something like that. Yeah. But here's my issue. I don't need to... I think one or the other. I think we could have heard it from outside the bedroom door and imagined it. I don't need to see child abuse to know what it oh my God in heaven. The crying of that child, my heart was racing. It is gratuitous. It is torturous. There is a helpless child, and it's very close up. Yeah. And it's like, it is unrelenting. You're just like, I'm like, I have to watch this.
You feel this is not entertainment.
This
you feel like you're in that room.
This is so sick to me.
And you feel like you're in that room. And you can, like, I don't know, I could feel that freaking brush going through the hair. I could feel, like, that little actress did a nice
That's the
job.
one thing I say.
She's the only worthy actress in this entire movie, I think.
See, so, really quick, I guess we'll talk about that, but, like, Faye Dunaway... I mean, she's...
So, okay. All right. I backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Faye Dunaway, I think, did a good job portraying Joan Crawford. I think that's... I think she did a good job. However, I don't know. I just felt like the way she portrayed her was she was always on stage. And she didn't have any real personality aside from... Joan Crawford, sorry. Joan Crawford on the stage. Yeah. Like, she was always acting like Joan Crawford on the stage. You never see her as, like, the person.
Like a vulnerable.
Just like a normal person. And maybe that's how Joan Crawford was. That's clearly the way it was scripted. But I feel like Faye could have put a little bit more personality in it. It was a little stiff for me.
Did you see Feud, Betty and Joan with Susan
Sarandon? No.
I watched it. It seems as if Joan Crawford was this way.
Just always like that. So that I suspected.
Yes, very much image. Her fans, she owes it to her fans, to have a certain image of success and stardom and all this kind of stuff, and always doing her best, always being the best, and it does feel true. What it was reminding me of, Christina, is Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. How we said, like, you feel like Sharon Stone's in a different movie, and I feel like this character, this Joan Crawford as a character. You feel like it's like, what movie is she in? Because everyone else is in this very real worldy type of vibe to it, and she is, oh my God, is she a lot. But you get the sense that she is eager to please. She wants you to love her, and what happens when you stop, and she unravels. And when she's in the relationship with the man, she's all talking, if you do this, and then he calls her bluff and walks out on her, and he has an amazing line.
Oh God, I think I wrote it down too.
If you're acting, you're wasting your time, and if you're not, you're wasting mine. And then he does walk out, but she's unraveling because he really does call her bluff. She's like, "Look at me, I am gorgeous. I have an amazing body. I am everything. I have because he said at one point he says, "Why are you screaming?" And she's like, "Because I'm damn mad."
See, that's the campiness.
That's the campiness, and she has a lot of those big moments, and it's like, I just don't need to see child abuse. That's what this boils down to.
So I might take it back a little bit about Faye. I take that back a little bit, but I think it was the little girl. She felt more, I don't know, just more like a real character, I guess.
Well, she really seemed like a little girl. Even the bratty moments, which This is something where I might be going to hell for this.
I think I'm going to be going right there with you.
Why doesn't Christina learn her lesson?
Let me tell you. I'm watching this movie and
I'm like yelling at the... Christina, at one point, I yelled at the TV, girl, stop. I yelled, girl, stop at the screen.
Yes.
Like, Christina doesn't learn. She's beating the shit out of, like, all the time. And she keeps doing the same damn things over and over. Christina, Joan Crawford says, I have a big day tomorrow. I am going to sleep in. Please don't make noise. What do the kids do, Christina?
They're outside her bedroom window playing in the front lawn. Screaming.
Blood-curdling screams while they kick around a, like, patio furniture cushion.
Yeah.
And they're screaming at the top of their lungs. Like, laughing and screaming. Right outside her bedroom window.
I know. But I will say, like, you know, Carol Ann should have been more on top of that.
Carol Ann, I question
she needed to be
loyalty.
more on top of that. Yeah. Because they're kids. They're just kids. Yeah. They can't be, you know, held responsible. Although, it was really funny because I did, you know, they have the big scene of, you get little inklings of, you know, her cruelty with, like, the birthday presents and, like, is that the one you like best? Well, then that's the one you can keep. And but you just see that face.
But wait. That also sounds like it was previously discussed. Because she was there when she promised the charity that she would give the toys to the kids.
Oh, she was, okay.
Because she already knew. See it that way. So Christina knew the deal.
Okay, I didn't see it that way. Okay. So there was that. And then there was the whole swimming scene. So this poor girl is trying to do this perfect dive. And she's exhausted. And she's like, try it one more time. Feet together. And, you know, she goes to the dives and she's, oh my God, she's exhausted trying to pull herself out one more time. And then, so this girl's exhausted. She's been diving and diving and diving and diving. Oh
my God, it's awful.
And
it's awful.
Then the husband the lawyer, I think it was the lawyer. Yeah. He leaves and she's like, Christina, would you like to go swimming?
But do you remember what Christina said?
And she said, yes, Mom. And I'm like, I wrote down here, I thought you were exhausted.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then they do the race scene, of course. And of course, that famous little line, you lost again. And she's like, it's not fair. You're bigger than me. She goes, nobody ever said life was fair. I'm bigger and I'm faster. I will always beat you.
Always be.
Right?
Wow.
I know. I wrote it down. I'm like, oh, that's ironic.
Awful. Yeah.
But then she has this temper tantrum. And I will tell you, she was rude and disrespectful to Joan Crawford. Mm-hmm. She was. As a mother, and let me tell you, I've never beat my child, and I don't condone that. But I also don't condone a child disrespecting a parent that way either. Yeah. She was a little shit. Yeah. She was a brat. She was yelling and just being a little shit. And then she's like, go in the house or something. And she's like, no. Like she refused to do something. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. Now I wouldn't have locked her in a closet.
Right.
This, you know, and I wouldn't have screamed the way that she did. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we all know she has anger issues. Yeah. Right? We all know that.
Including Christina.
And Christina has anger issues as well.
No, including Christina knows her mother has anger issues.
Yes, she knows too. Yeah. But a lot of what her actions, I think, also represent being raised by her. You know, you're going to emulate a lot of what your parents do too. So I understand
the attitude.
They had the attitude. They super competitive of each other. They, you know, really stubborn and all that. But bottom line was she was being very disrespectful. So I did not necessarily disagree with Joan's reaction to her. Mm-hmm. I think she obviously went overboard by locking her in the closet. But I do think that if that was like, you know, my daughter would have given her a timeout or something. I would have sent her to her room or something, right? I think that's what she did. Go to your room. And she said, no, I won't. Yeah. Like, you're going to go to your room. So I didn't necessarily disagree with why she got upset in that moment.
I don't, there's quite a few scenes where I'm like, I don't understand Christina in this scene. It's like, your mom is a psycho. Yes. Stop arguing with her.
You know what's happening. It's not like she's going to turn around and be like, you're right, Christina.
So the next note I have is the rosebush lemon tree scene.
Yeah.
And so let me put it this way. My cat is 20 years old and mostly deaf. Mm-hmm. Shorty woke up during the rosebush scene.
Yeah.
He was very upset. He heard the screams of Joan Crawford and chopping down. But that happens after. Now, here's what's messed up with this movie, and this is where the movie gets bothers me. They cut from her. What happens? Does she lose her contract? And then they cut right to that scene at night.
Yes. So yes, okay. Go ahead because I have some issues.
But she's wearing a glamorous ball gown.
Yeah.
And you don't know where she just was. You don't know if she just put that on to feel better about herself. And then she's cutting all the rose bushes down, but it's not clear why.
Thank you.
At all. What did the rose bushes have to do with her losing her contract? And then but she is so loud and screaming. And then she gets the kids up. Carol Ann... Oh, and that is some bullshit. That is bullshit.
Yes, thank you. You're saying all of these things that are in my head.
Joan Crawford is handling sharp cutting shears, and because Carol Ann's scared, Carol Ann wakes up the children to talk to their deranged clipper wielding mother.
Yes,
having a mental episode in the garden.
Who does that?
Who would ever do that?
And I think
I would have locked the kids in the room to keep them safe.
Yes.
I would not have sent them out there.
And this really speaks to the time. So I did a little bit of research on this.
Let's hear it.
I mean, not a ton of research. Sorry. But part of the big challenge here is that during this time, no one protected the children. In general. There were no laws about beating children. There were nothing put in place to protect children from abuse.
Yeah.
And this was part of why the abuse went on for so long. And it also speaks to, Christina's book about, no one stood up for these kids. Everyone just bowed down to Joan Crawford. And I think that was intentionally put in there. This Carol Ann, what she did, I think that is part of what her point was. Christina's point in the book was that you didn't have anyone helping you. You didn't have anyone standing up for you. Mm-hmm. They just did what you had to do.
The kids were your property.
Exactly. Yeah. And at one point in the book, I don't think this is in the movie, but the police came or something happened. I don't know who called the police.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe Joan Crawford called the police on Christina or something like that. And so the police officer knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. And he said to her, allegedly, from the book, said to her, there's nothing we can do. You need to stay here until you're 18 and then you can be free.
Wow.
And so this is the attitude of the world at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So whether or not that actually happened the way that it's portrayed, I think it's intentionally put in there to show that Carol Ann isn't thinking of protecting the children. She's just doing what Joan is telling her to do. Mm-hmm. And, so there's no one here to help me.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, I agree that it was, that whole thing, I didn't understand if I missed something, why she was cutting down the roses. Was that a gift from them or something? And she just wanted to get rid of the roses and the tree? It must have been maybe a gift of some sort that she just wanted to erase.
Yeah, maybe. We'll never know.
The other problem we'll never know. Although Christina Crawford is still alive, so we.
Oh no, I know. Yeah,
we could.
Did you read the book? You didn't read the book. I didn't read the book either.
No, I had no interest in reading the book.
Do you have any interest now?
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe it wouldn't be a terrible thing. I don't think. I'm not sure because there is I'm not 100% sure I believe 100% of the story. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I believe a lot of it.
Yes, there are, to that point, because there are two other children that are never shown in the film.
Yes,
there's twins.
Yes.
And they have said, she never laid a hand on me. Or, right. Or that something like that.
Yes,
there was
they're
no
twins.
Abuse.
They were adopted. I think they're 4 years younger or something on that idea. It's a kind of a substantial distance, difference in age. And they have said that they don't want to call Christina a liar because they acknowledged that children can have different experiences growing up.
Yeah.
But they did not see that she was not that kind of mother to them.
Yes.
Like, they're very clear. Like, they're very careful in their wording.
To not, yeah.
And the other part is, and they were probably in the will. So maybe that was a provision. Right?
But the truth of the matter is, maybe they were well-behaved kids, and Christina wasn't.
Well, that could be it. And, and I think that happens in families. There's one child that's the brunt of all of it.
Yeah.
That absolutely could be part of it. Yeah. They're saying they didn't see it. Christina also says that they were like 2 when she moved out, or when she went to the boarding school.
Oh.
So it's quite possible that they just really did not witness it because she was already out of the house before they would have any kind of memory of it.
True, yeah.
So there's a lot of iffy stuff. But there's a lot of people who worked for Joan Crawford and a lot of people around her that, I don't, that they're saying that things did not happen. Mm-hmm. And of course they could be just covering their own asses.
Absolutely. Too. Yeah. You don't want to be like, oh no, she beat her kids all the time. I watched it. I mean,
right. You don't want to be that. I saw it.
You don't want to be that person. So, couple things. So Christina Crawford is interesting. So I watched some little interviews with her. Mm-hmm. She was on Phil Donahue. She's been on a bunch of things. And what I found interesting is that she's like, I hate the movie. And she's like, I didn't write it. But she does neglect that her husband was a producer on the movie. Mm-hmm. And she also has allegedly attended numerous screenings of this movie for money to kick them off.
Yeah.
Like, special guest Christina Crawford. She has had nothing to do with this movie other than writing the source material the movie's based on. At every turn, she says she hates this movie. But she will show up to get paid as like a publicity stunt to, kick off the movie at these classic screening things, these screening events. The movie neglects to mention why the son is strapped to the bed. He was a sleepwalker.
Yes, I looked that up too.
And why coat hangers is a trigger is because Joan Crawford's mother, I guess, worked at a dry cleaners.
Okay.
And because that was a sort of, it was far from, say, movie stardom, Joan Crawford maybe felt a little, saddened by that or didn't like that because it represented working class.
So it was a trigger.
Yes.
For sure. Why would they even have wire hangers in the house? I don't understand how the wire hangers got in her closet. I don't understand it
either. You think Christina went on a shopping spree? Like, you think Christina just went out and did shopping as a 4-year-old?
Yeah,
Come on now.
It's a little strange. Let's talk about that scene for a minute. We talked a little bit around it. That scene, everybody knows that scene, right? Everybody she gets beaten with the wire hanger. Yes, very disturbing. But I will say, what was more disturbing? Why are you laughing?
Good.
Are you laughing at child abuse?
No, I'm not. I'm really not.
What I thought was a more powerful scene was the scene immediately. Like, it was actually part of the scene when they end up in the bathroom and she's talking about how clean the floor is. Because I feel like that was, like you say this a lot. It seemed like it was in a different movie in terms of the acting. This scene, she is saying she's already mad about the wire hangers. She's already beaten her up with the wire hangers. And then she goes into the bathroom and she's like, did you scrub these floors? And now this is the whole OCD thing happening. And she's like, yes, I did. And Helga said it was fine. And then this is when I was talking about before. She's like, but do you think it's clean? Do you think it's clean? And she's like, yes, I do. And she's like, how do you think that this is clean? And she grabs the container of the cleaning stuff. She's putting it on the floor. She's completely lost it. Christina's still crying from being beaten. Yeah. And she starts scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And it's like, then she takes the container and she starts hitting Christina with it. It is such a powerful scene. I think way more powerful than the wire hanger scene. Yeah. And I don't know how I didn't remember it. I didn't remember that scene. And I was like, oh my God. They are both phenomenal in it. And you're right in there. You're like, you're in that bathroom with them, like, holy shit. And she's freaking out. And the place is a mess now, because now it has, like, cleanser all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then she gets up and she turns around. She's like, clean up this mess. And she leaves.
Nope. She says, how?
Oh, how? That's right.
And she says, and this is really creepy, she says, you'll figure it out. But her eyes are crossed, Christina. She is so angry. Her eyes are crossed. She looks like a fucking monster.
She was a maniac.
What does Christina say?
My favorite line of the movie. She's like, can't believe this just fucking happened.
Explain who says this. Yeah.
Christina's sitting there on the floor, still basically like
beaten,
reeling from all of what just happened. And all of a sudden she just goes, Jesus Christ.
She sounds like a 35-year-old woman, too. She is so exhausted. This poor girl.
She is just like, what the fuck is my life right now? Like, what the fuck just happened? That is her, like, just, oh my fucking God. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's like, Jesus Christ.
God, reminded me of Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, with Blaine.
Blaine.
Blaine, because Molly Ringwald has a freak out. He's like, Jesus Christ.
So I just wanted to say, like, that scene to me was just so incredibly powerful. And then Christopher comes out of the bed to help. She's like, she's like, no, she'll kill me.
She'll kill me. Yeah, she'll kill me.
She'll kill me. Go back to bed. She'll kill me.
So I will say, but before that happens, we get the steak scene.
Oh, the steak
my God.
thing.
And I have to be honest, I kind of loved it.
I loved it, too.
I loved it. I thought that was really good acting and the tension, and you're like, oh, fuck. What is
it's so...
Because, to be honest, I wish there was a bit more of that, where it's not everything leads to abuse. It's a different kind of manipulation. It's a different kind of abuse. It's psychological. It's like the, eat your steak, and she's like, but Jesus Christ. When I said, girl, when I said girl at the screen, I was like, come on, girl. I like yelled it. Because I was like, she's sitting there, so the table is set, they're having a steak dinner. The steak is rare. Yeah. It is bloody. Bloody. Rare. And Christina is sitting there. She doesn't want to eat it. It looks really disturbing. Yeah, it's blood rare. And she's like, it's raw. And Joan Crawford says, it's not raw. It's rare. Christina, when steaks are cooked well done, they lose their vitamins. You need your vitamins. Not taking the hint, Christina says, I take my vitamins.
Right.
And then she pauses. She goes, pills. I laugh. And she goes, you will not leave the table until you eat every bite of your steak. And Christina doesn't. And she sits there. The sun goes down. She's still sitting there. It's at night. She's sitting by the dining table alone. Yeah, Christina, full disclosure, I was laughing. Yeah. That is the camp. Like, to me, that is the camp. That is the craziness of this. She puts the steak in the fridge. You think she's going to throw the steak away. She doesn't. Joan Crawford puts it in the fridge to take it out again for breakfast.
In the morning, for breakfast.
My God in heaven.
So it went on for like 2 days.
Of the steak. And the steak eventually...
That same freaking plate of food. Yeah. And I will say, that's another part where I could see where Joan Crawford was coming from as a mom. Mm-hmm. Emily and I have had some battles about food. Mm-hmm. Granted, it wasn't rare steak, which I get.
That's a tough sell. Because I can barely do a rare steak now.
Yeah, but we would have, epic... it didn't happen very often, but she had like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that she refused to eat. And I'm like, you need to eat that. And I would make her sit there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, not overnight and not anything, not to that degree. But I could see where she was coming from. And she didn't have those parenting skills. Like, she didn't know what to do with this girl. And with all of her mental illness, she just didn't know what to do. What surprised me is that she didn't just smack her across the face with the plate of food. Like, why is today different than any other day? where you're not beating her. Like, why aren't you beating her with a slab of steak?
That's part of my problem with this movie, too, is, like, they do feel like vignettes of time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because then when you realize that this is not an everyday occurrence, necessarily, because also the movie is weird with its time jumps, too.
Yes.
And, like, suddenly Christina's just a grown person, but you never really find out how old she actually is. But it's fine. But then, like, Christina doesn't age, but then Christopher does age, and that's weird, too.
Yes.
So, it's unfortunate, but if you're going to do something like this, where these are vignettes of, vignettes of abuse, maybe don't have so many of them be physical. Like, there are other ways to show that this is an abusive environment for a child. And, because I actually think the steak thing, to your point, that's psychological.
Yes.
Like, there's thought behind that, where abuse just feels like a snap.
Yep.
And, like, the wire hangers, why does she even walk in the room? It's late at night. Joan Crawford just walks
looking for something. Yeah.
That's insane. So, and a little of these physical abuse scenes go a long way. I would have much more preferred, like, and space them out a little bit. I mean, it's just, oh my God.
Well, and the thing is that I noticed too is like as an adult, so I felt like this movie was, if you want to say entertaining, but like interesting or whatever it is, when she was a child. When she got older, it bored me to tears, just like last time. It just bored me, and I felt like it went on for too long. Now, I have to tell you, this is going to make you laugh, because when I put it on, I had a movie. Was it a movie? No, it was on Prime. I watched it on Prime. And it says how long the movie is next to it, right? So I'm looking, and I'm like blind as a bat. So I'm looking at it, and I thought it said 139 minutes. So I'm like, it's only an hour and a half, so it's good. Like an hour and 40 minutes. I'm like, I can do that.
Oh, okay.
It's actually 189 minutes. 189 minutes. So it's 2 hours and 9 minutes.
That's 129 minutes. You just said 189. An hour and 20... Wait, 120 minutes isn't... Wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm getting confused. 120 minutes is 2 hours. 60 minutes in an hour.
Yes. So it was yes. Oh my God.
This movie is 2 hours and 9 minutes.
It's 2 hours
129 minutes.
Right. So I was reading it as an hour and 29 minutes.
Got it.
Do you know what I mean? So I read it wrong.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, all right, I can do this. And then it was like, all of a sudden it was like, I had to pause it to go to the bathroom or something. And I'm like, how is this only halfway done?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. And she still had like her adulthood to grapple with. When I felt like there was a long part of this movie was her as an adult. Now, I don't understand the point of that. Because, yes, she was still abusive to her. She sent her away and all this kind of stuff. But the majority of that time as an adult with her, she was away at school. Mm-hmm. So there was the one scene where she slaps her and she strangles her and all that, right? So that's fine. There's the time where she gets her pulled out of school because she kissed a boy, basically. And sends her to a monastery, or a nunnery, right? Yeah. Crazy. So that stuff can happen in like 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then she takes over with the role for her in the soap opera, which I remember that from watching it when I was younger, and it was so weird. I will say I have a different spin on it this time around.
Okay.
So Christina was in a soap opera.
Yeah. And
what happened? She had a cyst or something that she had to get removed. So she was out of work for a while. And Joan Crawford
called
the producer and said, I will step in.
Well, she didn't quite do that. She called to say, Christina's in the hospital, can you come here?
Right. Oh, yeah.
But you know she had that little thought in the back of her mind. Yeah.
Yes. So she came in and she took over. She was supposed to be a 24-year-old woman. And she was like, Joan Crawford was like in her 50s probably, trying to play a 24-year-old woman. So there was that. But I will say, like, when I looked some of that stuff up too, Joan Crawford says it's because they were going to fire Christina and replace her. And Joan said, don't fire her. I will stand in for her for the episodes that you need me to. And I won't, you don't have to pay me. So she said it was because she wanted to help her daughter. But I'm on the fence about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Really interesting. But anyway, my point is, my very long point, I'm so sorry. I feel like this movie could have been much shorter.
Yes!
And cut out most of her as an adult.
Yeah. I also struggled with Diana Scarwood, the actress who plays the older...
she was terrible. She had a weird southern accent.
She also had weird facial expressions.
Yeah.
And she's actually in one of my... Here we go again. One of my favorite movies is What Lies Beneath. She has a supporting role in that. She's fine. But I feel like something's just a little off here. And I blame the movie a bit, too, because these time jumps, I don't know how old she's supposed to be.
Right.
Like, kind of ever. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. And so... and also, I really struggled with, okay, you're being beaten, manipulated, tortured, forced to eat raw meat, all this kind of stuff, and your mom wants to send you to a boarding school, and you don't want to go? Honey, I would be like, please send me to a boarding school.
Yeah, and I know, I couldn't understand that either, unless it was just this
like Stockholm Syndrome, like, I can't break out of this cycle.
That's what I kind of chalked it up to.
Even if she said... I'm worried about Christopher. But that didn't even happen. She didn't say anything.
Right.
Okay, it's like, I would have been like, save me. Please send me.
Although I will say also that when she went to the boarding school, and again, this is through like an interview from her, that when she went, she had no idea that she was living in a house that was not like everyone else's. So she didn't realize that she was in like an abusive house.
Oh, I totally believe that. I mean, kids don't know what they don't know.
Yes.
So kids are very resourceful. I mean, like, when we talked a little bit about kids being treated differently by the same set of parents, and I was the oldest in my family, and my memory of my dad's pure on alcoholism and what it did to like the household is so much more vivid than my brother and my sister's memory of it. And it does change, it totally changed the relationship that I have with my dad than what they have with their dad, with my dad. He's passed away, but like, that was a bit of a hurdle for me. Like, they really loved him. And I'm like, wow, I don't have that same memory, those same memories at all. And
it's different.
It's very different. And I think, it's funny, you only know like your own life. So it's not to say like, oh yeah, every father must be an alcoholic nightmare, but I don't know. You don't know what's good. Like, you don't know what the thing is. My mom
don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. My mom was an amazing mom, so thank God I had that balance.
Yeah.
But you just kind of assumed like, whatever. I do remember thinking when I was a teenager, because my parents divorced when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And I remember thinking as a teenager, like, I just assumed everyone's parents were divorced. And that was true. Like, and so when I would meet someone whose parents were still married, I remember truly, deeply being surprised.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you live with both of your parents? Not that not that I was stupid, but that I really thought it was much more common from my point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, and I remember even growing up, like, to your point, a lot of parents were divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was uncommon because my parents were still married. Mm-hmm. And people were surprised when I said my parents were married. Like, I remember seeing that reaction on more than one occasion. Uh-huh. So it is kind of strange. But yeah, so that's probably why she didn't want to go, because she just didn't want to leave her home. Mm-hmm. And didn't realize that she wouldn't be beaten for using a wire hanger.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
But I did say it was like really just so fucked up. Like the getting rid of the dolls when she misbehaved.
Oh.
And that was another thing. It's very similar to the stake. Like very
psychological
psychological abuse.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
so when she's a grown up, I did think that laundry room scene was really scary. Like just the dialogue and how desperate Joan was. and how she was broke. Although once again, we have another, movie where the character's so broke. It reminded me a little of like 8 is Enough, when it's like, yeah, we're really scraping by. Is they scraping by? You have more oil paintings in your house than in a museum. But it's like, I just find it funny when they like, it's like these very wealthy characters are like, we're broke, honey. It's like, we're broke. It's like...
Well, didn't she say something like that too? Didn't Christina say something about that when she saw like all the dresses when she was drunk? She had gone shopping.
After, she's like, she's still buying dresses. Like, she said we're broke. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so she did kind of call her out on that. One of the problems that I have with this movie too is I felt like some of these scenes, like the rose bush cutting, even the hair like cutting, those scenes to me, and there's several of them in the movie like this. Did you feel like they were cut like abruptly, short, like cut, like there was no? It was like all of a sudden someone just went, like. There was more to it, and someone just like physically just cut the tape at that point.
Yes, I do feel that way. However, I still felt they were too long. Like,
no! I thought they were too long. There was no resolution.
That's what I was saying earlier about there's no connectedness from scene to scene. Like it really feels like vignettes.
Yes.
Like, there's never a conversation. She gets her hair chopped off. I'm pretty sure the next scene, her hair is grown out.
She has regular hair, yep.
So there's never a...
But she doesn't like...
Mommy, I'm sorry, or, oh dear,
none
Christina.
of that. The only time that happens is really in the bathroom, in that scene, where she actually walks out and you see Christina, and that was, okay, end scene. But the other stuff, like the rose bush scene... It just stops. There's no breakdown. There's no walking out. There's no anything.
But it starts the same way. It starts she's just chopping things down. This is the problem. It's like these are just like vignettes. Like the outfit she's wearing in the rose bush is not what she was wearing when she got fired. So it's like, what, she just put on a gown for some reason? Yeah. There's no connective thread.
It's
there's
all
never
these different writers.
There's not even a scene with That's right. There's no scene even with Carolyn saying, Joan, I'm here to help you. I know, do you want me to call a gardener for that? Like, there's no resolution to your point. Exactly those words. Like, these scenes, those abuse scenes, those violent scenes, like, I wrote it twice. It's like, they're too long, they're too loud, and it's just too much. It is truly gratuitous violence.
It's like, here, this is something else she did to me. Mm-hmm. It's like all these little short stories.
I will say, though, I could have done it with a lot more dialogue. Like, some of the dialogue is so good. Like, when she's like, why can't you give me the respect that I would get from any stranger in the street? And she goes, and then Christina's face gets all red and like, big, and she's like, I'm not one of your fans. And that's she just chokes her. Oh my God. Smash
that is the worst thing you could have ever said to Joan Crawford, that I'm not your fan. Oh my.
That fucking scene. Oh my God. And then they cut so that Joan Crawford is on top of Christina, strangling her. First of all, Christina, fight back. You could fight back a little bit.
She could have fought back a little bit.
She was a grown woman. Punch her, kick her, do something. And then they cut behind Joan Crawford, and they're thrashing about.
Thrashing. Oh my
Carol Ann runs in with the journalist. Now here's...
Finally.
Do you know the backstory on this?
No.
Get this. They shot that scene a few different times, and... Poor Diana Scarwood, first of all. God. But the actress that played the journalist from Red Book, right, or Ladies Home, or whatever it was, they did the first scene, and she said later on that that Faye Dunaway was so out of control. She was the actress that played journalist said, I was afraid of getting hurt because I didn't have insurance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And no, I'm sorry, that's not true. She said, I'm so afraid of getting hurt, I just got out of the hospital from an injury. That's what she said.
Oh my God.
So then Carol Ann, the actress that played Carol Ann, did get hurt twice. They filmed that scene a few times.
Wow.
And to the point where, and that's why so it was originally written where the two women grab Joan and pull her off of Christina. Uh-huh. They were afraid of her because Faye Dunaway was so out of control in that scene. The actress that played Carol Ann wrote a book called I Was Carol Ann, Behind the Scenes of Mommie Dearest. I did not read this book, but it was truly simply attacking Faye Dunaway. It was just after. Like, apparently Faye Dunaway, there are certain scenes where Faye Dunaway wanted everyone in the room to turn their backs to her while she had her big dramatic moment. She didn't like people watching her.
Oh, wow. I never heard that about her.
Super weird. There's a funny clip, if you can find it. Bette Davis is on, I think, Johnny Carson. And she's like, I don't know how old Bette Davis is. She's very old in this clip. And, Bette Davis was never minced words, and she said, I've worked with great people, I've worked with bad people.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah. She was great.
And Johnny Carson says, who's the worst person you ever worked with? Just Faye Dunaway. And any person in Hollywood could sit in this chair and they would say the same name.
Oh my God!
Yeah, apparently Faye Dunaway was a challenge to work with.
Wow, that's hilarious.
But that is amazing. I'm not one of your fans. That is a beautiful, campy, insane, crazy moment. But I do wish Christina fought back a little bit more.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
Another interesting choice. Christina asks for money. Not even to borrow money. Why do you want that? Why do you want to keep your mother connected to your life? Why do you want to owe your mother? Why do you want that?
I know. I still think it was like that connection, that Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, I really do. Like, I don't know that she was ever trying to get out.
I know.
She didn't
want to. She didn't want to go to boarding school.
How about when she met her husband, her mother's husband, for the first time?
Hello, Daddy.
What should I call him? Well, what would you call any father? And so she goes, hello, Daddy. I'm Christina. Oh, so creepy.
Yeah.
And I have that don't fuck with me, fellas. Line down here.
Which, that escalated very quickly.
Yes, it sure did.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. My gosh. Yeah, we'll organize these notes a little bit.
Cool.
And we will be right back. Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about Mommie Dearest. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Well, if nothing else, you're doing better than Joan Crawford did. On those days you're doubting yourself, right?
Christina, any final thoughts?
Not really. I was kind of looking through. I mean, I did say that it's like she calls her mommy throughout her entire adult life, and that's creepy.
It's a little strange.
Yeah.
But you wonder if Joan insisted on that. I don't really know. I might. I might read the book. I don't know.
I might
check our local library.
I might read it too. And then, in the will, I think we touched on this a little bit. At the all said and done, Joan dies,
leaving her kids with
zero. Nothing. And she says in the will, for reasons
known to them
or something like that. Yeah. Christopher's like, what reasons?
It's like she just likes to always have the last word.
And then and then it says, as usual, she has the last word. And then she said, Does she? And hence the book.
Yeah.
But allegedly, she knew about the book.
Joan.
Yeah. Allegedly, she knew about the book.
It came out before?
She knew she was writing a book. Okay. It came out after she died.
All right.
But allegedly, she knew that Christina was writing a book. So I don't know.
Yeah, and this movie, and this is, it's so stupid because this is the movie that should be answering questions. Right? I mean, like, it should be very clear, like, intentions, motivations, and all that. Not to say there's a reason for child abuse, but it's like, but it's like, it would be helpful if we didn't leave this movie going, wait, like, what is, like, what,
Like, what happened?
Yeah, so much. But
I guess that's,
But I will say, I do think there's a lot that I liked in this movie that, like, I think it's the quieter, more intense moments, like, The Christmas scene where they're talking to the guy at the radio station. There's some interesting moments with her boyfriend in the beginning of the movie. And it's unfortunate because like these abuse scenes just really are so hard to shake. That's what this movie is.
That's what this is all about.
Known for, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
But do you have any? Would we have questions?
I do. I have an FMK.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
I do have a match game question.
All right, let me do my FMK first because it's not that great. All right, so here we go. The lawyer that is prevalent in like the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
The husband.
Okay.
And I think his name was LB. You know that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. Perfect. So I'm sorry, there really wasn't anything else for me to do. I know I don't really do great FMKs lately.
Okay. Okay, I'm done. It actually wasn't as hard as I thought.
Yeah, it's actually not that hard now I'm thinking about it.
F, the lawyer. I'm gonna be really honest. Handsome man.
He was handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was handsome.
Husband, I would marry.
Yeah.
Husband, he owns Pepsi Cola.
Yep.
And he doesn't live long, so.
Well, and he was a nice guy. Like he gave Christina the money.
I know. He was a really nice guy, and he was actually like always trying to calm Joan down and like just make her see like reality.
Yeah.
And then kill LB because like what a jerk.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
Gross.
He wouldn't even walk her out.
I insist. Go to hell.
Yeah,
Didn't walk. Yeah, you're right. He didn't even walk her out to her car. Dirty.
Just a jerk. So I would say the same thing, and I wrote the same thing for you. So hooray!
Thank you. Yeah, I like that lawyer. I wish I wrote his actor's name down because he fits that whole era. He could have been an actor from like an earlier time. He really nails it, and I think he had a really nice body too. He was handsome. Okay, match game. Joan is so evil.
How evil is she?
Thanks for asking. Mm-hmm. If you thought what she did with the steak was bad, you should have seen what happened when Christina wouldn't finish her blank.
Ooh.
I
could go a little bit.
I'm going to write down two answers. One's...
I'm trying to think of like the words. Alright, I'm just going to write.
God, we didn't answer the most important question.
What?
Did we like this movie more, less, or about the same as before?
God, I don't know.
Christina, I'm going to say I think I liked it more. Because I hated it, remember?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I can much more appreciate Faye Dunaway's performance and this movie was made for $5 million. It looks like a really high budget film to me. Like after the sets were beautiful, the clothes and everything else. But yeah, it's mired in some bad acting and some really gratuitous filmmaking. But I do think Faye Dunaway is, just incredible.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. I still don't have an answer.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna write this.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a match.
Okay. Well, I've written two answers. Joan is so evil.
How evil is she?
If you think the steak thing was bad, you should have seen what happened when Christina wouldn't finish her blank.
This is a really dumb answer. Sushi?
Oh my god, it's good. No, that's good.
Is it? You think so? I was trying to think of like the stinkiest, most gross thing.
So I had two. I wrote down an egg salad sandwich.
Oh, good one.
It already stinks anyway. And then sandcastles.
Oh,
especially the tide coming in.
Oh my god!
Joan Crawford leaves the beach. Christina's on the sand, trying to make a sandcastle.
Oh god, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh my god! Wow. Well, listen.
Oh my god! What an episode!
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. We want to thank...
I want to say a quick shout out to our friend Naomi, whose birthday it is today.
It is today. Happy birthday,
and she's
Naomi.
An amazing mom of 5.
Five kids.
So, and she's still as beautiful and kind as ever.
And one of our best friends of our lives.
Yeah, so happy birthday, Naomi. And happy Mother's Day to all of you for this Sunday coming up.
And all kinds of moms. Dog moms, cat moms.
All kinds of moms.
Step moms. What other moms are there?
Just say moms. It's just moms. Moms in general. You're going to cause all kinds of problems now.
No. Everyone's
yes, because people are going to be like, I have 12 kids and it's not the same as having a dog. And,
Jesus.
Just say Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Happy Mother's Day. And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.